the Super Speedway.
I know you didn't have time in your primary, but how was that car considering all the work that had to be done on it today?
It was fine. They're all the same. They're bought at Walmart.
Welcome to episode 226 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, March 8th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, you should know better than to take a drink during the intro.
Well, that wasn't the audio clip I thought you were going to use.
I couldn't find the audio clip that I wanted to use. I searched so many times this week that my algorithm on YouTube is going to be just Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman for like everything that involves the two is going to come up now.
Kyle Busch F word is the algorithm.
Yeah.
Is that the first insult of the new car?
I think it might be.
Kyle Busch.
It might be. Of course, it's Kyle. Kyle was the first one to insult the car tomorrow. He's got to be the first one to insult this one, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. What a weekend he had. Holy smokes.
No kidding.
Oh, man. Yeah, that he had. I mean, Kyle usually has a good season's worth of quotes, by halfway, but that last weekend he dropped some real gems, and I'll let you guys go to Twitter and see what else he said.
Well, you can always guarantee that he's going to have some good ones at Vegas because, of course, he wants to win. It's his home track, and he generally doesn't. So he tends to be pretty frustrated, and frustrated Kyle is gold when you want whiny quotes on social media.
Well, yeah, when you have an audio medium, such as this, it usually comes in handy to have Kyle Busch lose races on late race restarts.
I have tried to figure out ways to record a bunch of driver audio just to use clips in the podcast, but there's just not a good way to do it with the means that I have. But man, I would like to do it. I really wish that I had the clip from. Well, here we go. Seeing as we're talking about it, and we're dwelling on it.
Let's go.
Here is the official quote from Jeff Gluck. I will bleep out the words that need to be bleeped out. But I believe this is radio audio, right? At the end of the race, I'm assuming.
Yeah, right at the end of the race.
Kyle says,
and to clarify,
yes.
We're how many minutes into the podcast? Alex Bowman was our winner.
Yeah,
and we'll get into that.
Yes.
But this is Kyle talking about our winner, Alex Bowman.
Yes, Kyle Busch, who kind of dominated the last part of the race, and then got screwed over by a caution with 3 to go, and ended up losing to Bowman. The same effing guy who backs into every effing win that he ever effing gets backs into another effing win. Bull crap. End quote.
What a legend. What a legend. He's this angry now. Imagine what he's going to be like as an old man.
You know what, though, James? There isn't a single person who has finished second to Alex Bowman that doesn't think the exact thing. Because
oh, God.
Alex Bowman never dominates a race.
No. Eric, I messaged you this week because I was actually, honest to God, I was thinking about this heading into the season, and I was looking at drivers, championship favorites, playoff favorites, and I kept looking at Alex Bowman. And before Daytona, I just threw my hands up and I go, I don't know what he is.
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy is. And then he wins this race, and it amplifies in my brain 100 times over. I can't figure out what Alex Bowman is other than he is great at restarts and somehow finds his way at the end of these races to be in position. And when you go toe to toe with the champ and win, he's good. And I don't know what else to say. He won the race. Unbelievable.
Here's one for you, James. And we can throw out all kinds of Alex Bowman stats. First of all, this is his 7th victory, 228 Cup Series races. It's kind of easy to forget that he had a career before he started driving the 88 car. Yep. But so you and I have been really high on a driver at Hendrick Motorsports and all that he's going to do.
I've got his stat sheet pulled up for just this cause. So let's go.
So from 2018 to current, William Byron has won 2 races, 22 top 5s, 52 top 10s.
Yep.
Alex Bowman has 7 wins, 25 top fives, 58 top tens. James, Alex Bowman is significantly better than William Byron.
No.
He is. The stats
He's
say
not.
he is.
They're the same numbers.
He's got 7 wins.
Eric, he's led less laps. If you take his full-time Hendrick career, he has less laps led than William Byron, and he has 5 more wins. You know what? If you want to compare Hendrick drivers, since Chase Elliott won the championship at Phoenix, Alex Bowman has 5 oval track wins to Chase Elliott's 0 oval track wins.
Yeah.
What is that?
Isn't he the second winningest driver in that time period too?
Yes. Yes, he is. That's what I said. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with this guy.
James, I think it's time to stop forgetting about Alex Bowman. I mean, honestly, it really, really is. I know he's not there through the races, but you know he's going to get a win a year. And the rate he's going, I mean, he got 4 last year.
Eric, I tweeted on Sunday, and I've never felt so strong about an opinion in my life. Eric, you could tell me, James, Alex Bowman isn't ever going to win another race again. And I'd say, yeah, I believe that.
Right.
And then 2 seconds later, you could look at me and say, James, Alex Bowman's going to win 3 Cup championships and end up in the Hall of Fame. And I'd go, yeah, he probably could. Yeah, I could see that.
That was
There's
the
no
best
middle.
way of describing Alex Bowman that I could ever seen.
That's how wide, his gap is so wide from what he is and isn't. I don't even know. I'm coming on here. I'm animated, and I'm baffled. And listen, man, he went toe to toe with Kyle Larson on that last restart and took him to school.
Yeah.
So that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, equal equipment, and you can beat Kyle Larson. Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos, man. Raced him clean. Big win.
I think
Locked
we
him into the playoffs.
officially have to change the conversation on Alex Bowman. I think we officially have to do it at this point, James.
Do we?
7 wins,
know.
7 career wins is nothing to slouch at.
He is tied with Ryan Blaney in career wins.
Yeah.
He has more wins than Alan Kulwicki and Ward Burton. I just like...
Yeah, he has. We have to. The conversation has to be changed on him at this point. The hack.
Yeah.
The hack. He's not a hack, man. He can't be.
The hack.
Here's the thing. I get that he doesn't lead a ton of laps. I get that he's always out of the conversation. And I get that he's lucked into, and I use air quotes, lucked into some of these wins. But here's the argument that I have. First of all, you have to be there. You have to be in position to be able to luck into that win.
No argument from me.
Secondly, he hasn't lucked into wins at tracks that everybody else lucks into wins at. These haven't been super speedway wins. These are mile and a half wins. You know,
tracks he's had no business winning on Richmond. You know, I'll read off a couple of his race wins. Just a second here. This is why I can't. He's never led 100. He's only led 100 laps in a win one time.
Yeah.
In Fontana in 2020. His totals for let's just go back to 2021.
He's only led more than 200 laps in a season 3 times in his entire career.
Yes. So 2021, he wins Richmond, his first win of the season, 10 laps led. Dover, 98 laps led. He had a really good day that day. He was strong all day that day. Since then, 16 laps led at Pocono, 9 laps led at Martinsville, and 16 laps led at Vegas. And he's won all those races.
And the stat that you don't see there either is that the laps led the final time he led are going to be significantly less because Pocono was 1.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Vegas was what, 2, 1?
Couple. Yeah. It was the last restart. Yep.
I mean, he's just there at the end.
You can't take it away from him. I look at Eric. This is one of the things you and I love to do. We like to look at the all-time wins list and look who he's around.
Yeah.
And guys that we remember based on their names or, you know, whatever. So I mentioned Alan Kulwicki. He's ahead of Jeremy Mayfield. He is tied with Kyle Petty. No, he's one behind Kyle Petty. He is tied with AJ Foyt and Jamie McMurray.
Wow.
Guys, you know. He's not that far behind Tim Richmond, Clint Boyer, Sterling Marlin, and I'll say it, he's only a handful behind Chase Elliott. I mean, honestly, Chase is stuck on number 13 here for a little bit, but it's just unbelievable. I've never, Eric, who's his comp? Who is, like, can you recall a driver with this type of resume getting this many wins? I don't have a comp for him.
No, I mean, I think he's his own person. I mean,
Really is.
maybe. I mean, could you compare him? I know it's not. We're not going back to the '90s like we like to do, but could you compare him to like a Jamie McMurray? I mean, but he's not winning the crown jewels though.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much
but
all that Jamie won were the crown jewels.
that's pretty, actually that's pretty good. Let me look up Jamie McMurray's raw numbers, because
Because he didn't
might
have
be
a
the guy,
big
but
season. His were spread out. He had like a one big
McMurray
year.
had what? McMurray did it well. Alex Bowman had one big year too so
Right,
far.
So far.
Eric, that's not bad. Jamie McMurray only led 1,900 laps his entire career. Alex Bowman's already at 1,000.
Yeah.
I would say, well, already he's at 1,000, and most of Jamie's laps that he led was his first handful of seasons. Honestly, he had that one big year you mentioned, 2010, where he won the 500. He almost won the Coke 600 that year too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty good. But his wins were spread out a little bit longer over time, because he had that win in the Coors Light Dodge, subbing for Sterling. So, but yeah, that 2010 year of his, Daytona, Indy, and Charlotte Fall race were all on that list. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, he's
So,
the
I'll
only
give you
one
that
that I
one.
can
That's pretty
really
good.
think of.
Yeah, but well, I mean, kudos to Alex. I mean, that race, I understand why Kyle was so angry.
Yeah.
Because it was him, and he battled. That was such a great battle with Truex, and
Yeah, he legit won that race with Truex.
Yep.
I mean, it was over at that point.
It was such a great battle. I hated to see that caution, honestly, because I thought those two were really going at it. But again, you go back to that restart, and Larson taking the high line, similar, I guess, a little bit last week to Eric Jones late in the race, taking the high line when I thought the low line was a better option for him. I thought the same of Larson here. I thought maybe take the low line, but and honestly, most of that late restart, Eric, and tell me if you agree here. I thought for sure the way they were going, Bowman wasn't going to be able to make that car stick because of the way the cars were acting all weekend.
Yeah.
In the corners, it was amazing driving by both of those guys, but Bowman comes out on top.
Yeah, it was definitely quite the finish, and yeah, I mean they joked on, I think Fox, they've called Harvick the closer for years. Starting to look like Bowman's fit in that category.
That's his new moniker. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'd be okay giving it to him. The torch has been passed, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. All right, so let's talk more about the race as a whole. We were talking about Kyle Busch. Again, like you said, James, quite a weekend for him. Puts it in the wall during practice. The only driver to wreck a car in practice this week, despite similar conditions to California the week before during practice. And has to go to the backup car. And, well, I mean, as he said, the cars are bought at Walmart, so it doesn't matter. But they rolled that sucker off, and there's no decals on it, no motor in it, no shocks in it, and it still had Denny Hamlin's window in the back. So a lot of work went into that team, and he was there throughout the day, like working his way up, and led 49 laps on the day, and looked like he was going to get himself a win right there at the end.
Yeah, I honestly took him. I had him in my fantasy lineup going into the race, and when I saw that crash, I thought, well, safe play here. I'm taking him out, and I was kicking myself because he had such a great run. And you mentioned the team working on that car, and Kyle. We joke about Kyle being a curmudgeon during the weekend, but I will say he did give his team kudos and the other teams from Joe Gibbs Racing that spent, I think, Eric, 8 hours getting that car right after hauling it off the truck. So that was an awesome sign for this car that you could like Kyle says, you can go to Walmart, pick up the pieces, and put together a car that was basically a winning car. That car had the race locked down. So really cool that we got to see that, the team working really hard and rolling that bad boy out. And with the shortage and everything, that is still kind of an issue.
Yeah.
Got to see a pretty, a good testament to this car again. If you can piece it together and take some parts off of one and stick them on the other, it's actually pretty cool to see that it works that way.
Yeah, I agree. I would be remiss to mention too that not only did he have the crash in practice, but he did have a spin during the race as well.
He did, yeah.
That put him back again. One thing worth noting too, James, and we're kind of bouncing around a little bit here, is we had spins again this week. We didn't have cars get stuck this week though.
No, we had spotters yelling at drivers to keep it rolling.
Yeah, we even had some cars come to a stop though and get moving. It makes me think that. Yep. NASCAR didn't go all in and fix it the way the teams wanted them to, and maybe the teams went, oh, maybe we should fix it ourselves then and not run the car so damn low.
Yeah, there's something there. I mean, I did see, I think it was Cole Custer's, I don't know the lingo on this part, but it was the underneath of the fender.
Yes.
Looked like that got ripped out. But that was the most damage.
Yeah, but that was a tire flipping around, which happens. I mean, anytime they're radial tires, there's steel belts in them.
Yeah.
So they do some damage when they shred. Although it was weird that the whole carcass came off the way it did, it was like basically almost delaminated.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Tyler Reddick tried to supercross through the infield, and that car bounced back to get a 7th place finish. So. I mean, we saw some durability out of the cars, and like you said, Eric, I think the teams understand how these tires work, and they don't want their day to be completely ruined by a flat tire.
Yeah.
So we had a few spinners, but nothing of note as far as, tire failures actually ruining guys' days like they had been in the past.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, James? I say 4 for 4 on this car so far.
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
I mean,
this car's running great. This is probably the best. Fontana is the best race so far, but this was the best showing of the car, as far as we saw some more stability out of it. As far as stability is not the right word, because they definitely weren't stable in the corners.
Right.
But durable. They were definitely more durable, and they were super racy when you're talking Kyle and Truex, but also we saw it again this week, Eric. Ross Chastain looked like he might have it until that late pit stop knocked him out of the lead. I mean, he scored the most points on the day. Eric Jones was having another solid day, top 10. Eric Almirola continues to have top 10 streaks going on with that team. So this car,
Christopher Bell led 32 laps at the beginning.
Yep, he did. Yeah, he definitely did. Chase Briscoe was running pretty fast, and Daniel Suarez too. I know they had their issues throughout the day, but the car showing that it's kind of that equalizer continuing forward here. We're seeing a trend a little bit. So, the names are still jumping to the top of the board.
Yeah,
but
of course.
We are seeing. Yeah, but we're still seeing some guys in there that's really cool. I'm really excited about.
I mean, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott. We know those guys are good. We know they're going to be up toward the top. But it's the other guys, that the Ross Chastains, the Tyler Reddicks that we haven't seen consistently at the top that we're seeing that is pointing at, or that's rising to the top as well. Joey Logano does radio on Sirius XM every Tuesday. During the morning drive, and he was talking this morning about the draft off of these cars, and I thought it was kind of interesting and worth noting that he said that the dirty air is still behind the car like it's always been, and it's still bad back there, but with the diffuser and everything, it's a narrower path now, so that instead of that dirty air spreading out really wide behind the car so you can't do anything, it's a smaller portion so you can duck out of it and make those runs, get those runs, and make those moves. So he said it passes easier. It's easier to pass, relatively. Yep. He said despite the fact that the cars are more equal, it's still easier to pass with them. So, and he gave it an A grade. He said that what they've done has been exactly what the drivers were looking for, and
Yeah.
I think we've seen it. I think, it's
I'd
it's
say
hard to
Truex
find
and
something.
Busch
What's that?
right there. I was just gonna say Truex and Busch.
Yeah.
That last battle showed you. I think with the old car, Truex gets out in front there, and man, it's gonna be tough for Kyle to make a pass. But Kyle was
he
able
wouldn't.
to
You could just
maneuver
block.
around.
You could do the Joey
Yep.
Logano and just block him.
Yep, exactly. And
Yeah.
Kyle was able to maneuver around and make a pass, and that was an awesome sight for me. I love seeing passing for the lead. That's what we want.
Yep.
Right there. Beautiful.
Yep, I think at this point, I think it's. I mean, we're still only 3 races into the regular season, 4 races in if you want to count the Clash. I think about this time we can kind of declare victory and just enjoy what we're seeing as we go through the season. Are there going to be hiccups? Yeah, there's probably going to be hiccups. I'll be interested to see how it races at Phoenix this weekend because obviously that's another different type of track. We haven't seen it on a road course yet, but we're assuming that it will run really well on a road course because it's more designed for that type of racing. And obviously the dirt race is a big question mark.
Yeah,
with this
big
car.
what if. Yeah.
I'm curious if they're going to remove. Are they going to remove all the aero crap off the bottom of the car for the dirt race? They've got to, right? They're not going to run a super expensive $10,000 whatever it costs diffuser on the back of that thing on the dirt track, right?
I don't know.
I gotta think they're gonna rip all that stuff off.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I guess we're getting closer. I mean, Easter Sunday is not that far away.
Right?
Bristol's looming.
Yeah, it is. Eric Jones, of course, hits the wall, brings out the final caution of the race, spins up the track in front of Bubba Wallace. I had some tweets on this, and there's some question as to when exactly the caution flew on this, so I don't want to throw NASCAR under the bus on it particularly. But I want to say that this is why, when people complain about NASCAR throwing cautions too quick, this is why NASCAR needs to throw cautions when a car hits the wall, especially with this new car. James, Danica Patrick was in the booth this week, and we'll get to.
Boy, was she.
We'll review her in a moment. But one thing she did mention was how similar these cars are or seem to be to IndyCar. And I think that's one thing that you see with the suspension the way it is and the single lug and all that. If something breaks, it breaks, and they don't have control over these things. And so we need to throw cautions when the accident happens, so we don't have a car spin up driver's side into traffic like Eric Jones did, and Bubba Wallace thankfully did not clean him out and spun to the inside instead. Again, I'm not going to put it on NASCAR because my understanding is NASCAR threw the caution well before Bubba got there, and Bubba was going like a bat out of hell. But whatever. I mean, this is why they need to do it. So no point. I would rather NASCAR throws a caution too early than too late.
Yeah, for sure. And when you, the way that car hit too, that tire wasn't really dragging to slow that car down either.
Right.
Eric really couldn't do anything to stop that car.
And all these teams are telling them to keep going because they don't want to stop because they'll get stuck. So you have that added factor in the whole deal. Exactly.
And Bubba was coming in there like his ass was on fire, and I don't know how he didn't door Jones, but made an evasive.
I don't even think he hit him. If he did, he just clipped him.
No, I don't even think he did. I think he wheeled it off and pounded the inside tire barrier.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was lucky. Holy smokes, man! That would have been the first true test of this car. I know Harrison went upside down at Daytona, but that hit there, that and the Chastain hit at Fontana, that would have been the next real test of this car, is a hard car impact on the driver's side door. And that's a test I don't want to see. I don't care to see it at all. If we can avoid it, we need to avoid it. So
James, I have a question for you.
Hit me.
So Alex Bowman, nickname the Hack, right?
The Hack.
The Hack. Coined by a driver by the name of Denny Hamlin last year. When Bowman managed to wreck Hamlin and win the race.
I see where you're going with this.
So would you consider a driver a hack if they won a race, or would you consider them a hack if they shifted into the wrong gear and blew their motor coming out of the pits?
Who did that, Eric?
Dennis did that. Denny blew her up coming out of pit road. I did see a conspiracy theory online though, James.
What's that?
The Reddit conspiracy theorists are out, and the conspiracy question is, NASCAR or the Fox reported not too long before that happened that he was having power steering issues. And it was kind of mysterious to some that he accidentally blew the motor up when they couldn't fix the power steering issues. So, yeah, just throw that out there for you guys. But, yeah, Denny got learned how the sequential shift works and doesn't work and tried to put it into third gear and went the wrong direction.
Yep, and he called himself the dumbest driver in the garage.
Yeah, I got to give him credit. He didn't want to do that interview on pit road. But
yeah.
he did it and blamed himself. I mean, there's nobody else to blame, but took the blame for it.
I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner. And
Yeah.
I mean, we saw at the Coliseum some silly, breaking of drivetrains and things like that too.
Yep.
So he's not the only one that's had this issue. I'm sure, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it again. Honestly, it's a completely different system.
Have you had a vehicle with a stick shift? Have you ever?
I haven't driven one in a long time. It's been a long time.
See, I had 3 vehicles with stick shifts before I finally got one without one, and I can't imagine driving what feels like the same vehicle, because I'm sure these things feel pretty similar to them, and suddenly now I have to shift a different way. I went from a 5-speed to a 4-speed, and that was weird enough. I can't tell you how many times I tried to hit overdrive. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it. It'd be pretty different.
Well, I used to ride dirt bikes, and I got off that for a long time, and then I started to get back into it until I retired. When I went ass over tea kettle, and I said that's it, and I pushed the bike into the barn. I haven't ridden one since. But that always was the toughest part on learning to ride a dirt bike, was you had to shift down into first, and then up into into your 4 or 5 gears. That always would throw me off way back when. And that was just dumb me as a kid. I'm not trying to compare myself to a driver by any means, but it always, when I got back into it, I had forgotten. It had been a while since I had done it then. So yeah, I can only imagine when you're used to doing something like Denny has.
I mean, these guys are
20 years.
Professionals in their craft. They do this all by instinct at this point. To have it completely change like that, again, just another factor. Great factor for NASCAR to throw another wrench at them.
Yep, yeah, and it's fine. I'm like I said, I don't. Yeah. He's been doing it for 20 years, one way.
Yep.
So it's all right. Yeah. I mean, bummer.
He shouldn't hang his head too much. Somebody else is going to do it too. He's not going to be the first one or the last one. Might be the first one, but it won't be the last one.
He is 30th in NASCAR Cup Series points at the moment, with an average finish of 28th so far.
He'll get a win.
Woo! He'll win. Yeah, he'll win somewhere, but that's a rough start for a guy who's constantly in the championship round.
Yeah, well, he won't be this year. Just watch.
just you wait and see.
Yeah, prediction is going to come true. He's not going to be there.
Yep, probably.
I mentioned James's favorite former driver, Danica Patrick, was in the booth this weekend for Fox. I actually heard quite a bit of praise for her on social media and the like. I don't know what race those people were watching, because I guess the best review that I can give her, James, is that she didn't talk a whole lot. and that was good. But every time she talked, it's like, oh God, she's still here.
Oh man, it wasn't great. It's not a hating on Danica thing either. She's just not good at it. She wasn't good at SRX last year. Fox should have never brought her in. I don't know why they did.
If somebody would pull the stick out of her rear, she might lighten up a little bit. She's just too stiff. And she's up there with Clint. Clint should be able to loosen anybody up, and he just could not.
Matt Kenseth.
Yeah.
Who's got a stick higher up there, than Matt Kenseth?
Yeah, I'm with you. You're right.
So, all right.
You're right. Matt was great, and guess what? We get a second week of Danica this week at Phoenix. So.
Yeah, her hometown track. Yeah. She'll be there.
Lucky us. Lucky us.
Man, this car and these races are going so well.
They were complaining about
wonder. Well, I just feel like it's a missed opportunity to have Dale Jr. in the booth right now.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like NBC would be doing some really good stuff with the popularity going in the right direction here for once. To have that guy in there, but
yeah,
unfortunately he's locked up until halfway through the year. So
right, Yeah, too bad. Too bad.
Yep.
Kyle Larson finishes second, 27 laps led. Pretty good start to the season for old KL there. Young Money. I think he's figured this thing out already.
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he's doing just fine.
You mentioned Ross Chastain. 83 laps led for Ross Chastain. Sure looked like he had a good shot at winning this thing.
That pit stop killed him.
Just
Killed him.
Justin Marks, seeing him interviewed after the race, just tickled with what they're doing. It was really funny to see, someone like Kyle Busch get interviewed after the race, and just his TV interview was good, but he was prickly. And then see Ross Chastain get interviewed after the race, and he was like he won the race. I mean, it was almost Bubba Daytona 500, a couple years ago esque.
Yeah.
So he's gonna get one this year. I think he's gonna get one, and I think there's a good...
This was a very strong day. Like the possibility is definitely there for that guy.
Not only him, but his teammate too. I think there's a good chance that both those cars have a win this year.
Well, they damn near won 2 races in a row between the two of them. I mean, things break a little bit differently if Fontana. Suarez is in, and Chastain, that pit stop's not that bad.
Yep.
They're right there too. I mean, they're literally 2 moments away from 2 straight wins for 2 different drivers. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Martin Truex Jr. winds up 8th after the final pit stop. Austin Dillon finishes just outside the top 10 with an 11th place finish. You mentioned Tyler Reddick. He was in the top 10 with a 7th place finish. Another good run for him. James Greg Biffle was in this race. Did you even know that?
Yes, I did.
He finished 34th with a fuel pump issue. Denny Hamlin finishes 32nd with his drivetrain issue. I'm trying to see if anybody else is worth really mentioning. Brad Keselowski finishes 24th.
Well, him and YRB, that ended YRB's day.
Yeah.
Blaney 36th place finish with the crash there, and Brad was never able to really recover from that little incident, so he finished a lap down. I didn't see a whole lot out of the RFK bunch this week, so curious to keep watching them as they continue on with this inaugural run, because I sure would like to see them have some stronger runs right now. I mean, Daytona was great. I'd like to see them continue a little bit here, moving into the next couple of weeks.
Austin Cindric's terrific start to the season, took a little slide, 19th place finish for him on this one, and
gave up the points lead.
He did lead 1 lap though on the day.
Yep.
So, Kurt Busch led 4 laps, and that's probably about it. We had 12 caution flags for 60 laps. Definitely still haven't seen those cautions up. I think we're going to see that throughout at least the first part of the season, especially before we return to tracks, because these guys are all learning them. James, we got to see. I know I brought up the practice being too short last week, and you said leave it alone, and NASCAR changed it on you. Mm-hmm. They went to a 30-minute practice for everybody instead of the 15-minute practice. Joey again was asked about that this morning on the morning drive, and he said he prefers the 15-minute practice because he says at this point, he says, what are you going to learn in 30 minutes that you can't learn in 15 minutes? He said, all you're checking is ride heights.
It's a shakedown.
Yeah, you can't make changes to the car before qualifying, so it really doesn't matter how long they're out there. It's just a matter of making sure it doesn't drag and making sure all the covers are off and the parts are where they're supposed to be and it doesn't blow up.
Yep.
So, and he pointed out, and again, that we didn't see worse racing because we got rid of practice. We definitely saw better, if not the same. So,
yep. And
unless you're a Kyle Busch fan.
Well, yeah. Practice this week was definitely didn't have any effect on the good racing. I mean, we saw good racing 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. If they want to up another 15 minutes, that's totally good.
Yeah. I guess honestly, I don't know. I tuned in for a little bit of practice this time. I guess I like the fact that I didn't have to watch the whole thing, and I could see all the drivers. I didn't have to wait 15 minutes to see the second group.
Yep.
But I mean, 15 minutes, 30 minutes doesn't make a big difference. I think we got what we got.
Yep.
What else I was going to mention? Oh, I wanted to go back to the Kyle Busch thing, and the work they did on that car. It fascinates me every time they play driver audio from Kyle Busch when they're working on that car during the race, because I don't know that I've ever heard a driver diagnose a car the way he does in as much detail as he does. They played that audio on Fox, and it was before the competition caution. There was not a caution flag lap, and he is giving paragraphs worth of information as he's driving around a track at 180, 190 miles an hour. Just incredible with that guy, the knowledge that he has and the ability he has to express that to his crew to get the car fixed.
Yep. So he's one of the greats, man.
It's amazing.
Doing the best he can to get that car as improved as possible. I mean, it was working.
Yeah.
They were there. So
it was the best run we've seen out of Kyle throughout the day in a long time. And that bodes well,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what we want. We've got a mix of different guys up there, but you still want your Kyle Busch's hanging around to make it for a good show. So that was good. It was good.
I'm not ready for Kyle to stop winning. I want to see Kyle get some more records or at least make a bigger mark in NASCAR still. I think he's got the talent that he needs to crank a few more off. I mean, obviously he's done it in the Xfinity Series, but I want to see more of that mark in the Cup Series yet too. So
Yep. Absolutely.
Anything else with this one with the Cup race that's worth mentioning, James? Did I miss anything?
No, man, we've been going long on the pod because these races have been so dang good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to talk about. So I'm good with us moving on, but it's it's been refreshing. I'm really enjoying it so far. Things have been going pretty smooth. I'm knocking on wood. Let's see her at Phoenix.
Yeah.
One more here. Let's keep knocking them down. Good racing every week is definitely a great thing for the sport.
This was we every once in a while tease Jeff Gluck's was it a good race poll, 90.4% on his poll this week on Twitter.
Yep.
Number 1 Vegas race out of the last 11 races at Vegas.
Yep.
Number 5 intermediate race out of 76, and number 17 race overall out of 228. And it's also the first time in poll history to have back-to-back 90% plus races. So, and I mean, I don't disagree. I voted on the poll. I mean, you can't. How can you say that was a bad race? It was good throughout. It wasn't just a good finish.
What are people who are voting no seeing?
I don't know. Those are those people that don't like stage racing and they don't like the new car and they wish that it was still 1989. James,
I don't understand how we have so many trolls. I understand last week Chase Elliott fans getting their underwear in a bunch. But other than that, I mean, it's been 100% to me so far.
Well, I didn't listen to all of the teardown, but I listened to a little bit of it, and they mentioned on there, and it's worth repeating, that this was a good race before the finish. We had a great finish.
Oh, yeah.
But this was a good race before the finish.
Yep.
So, all around, I'd argue probably the best Vegas race we've ever seen. Ever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's been a couple of decent ones. I mean, it wasn't the Logano Busch punch.
Right. But that one was good at the end.
Yes.
This was really good. If there was any part of this race that I would say was a downer, it was the run to the competition caution, because everybody's out there you're basically running practice laps until the competition caution.
Well, that's the thing about this car, Eric. It's keeping us engaged throughout the race. We're getting to the stages and we're getting, solid racing all the way through. There's no lulls.
Yep.
So keep it rolling, man. Things are in a very positive direction. I'm really liking it so far.
People are going to be so pissed when we have that one boring race, because there's going to be one. You can't.
Oh, wait till Bristol. Bristol will be a disaster.
You can't do this all year long. There's going to be a boring race. One other thing worth mentioning from Vegas, the brilliant T-shirt marketing at Alex Bowman Racing. The 18% discount on the hacked shirt this week, and then Kyle Busch goes and lowers his T-shirts to 48% off in his store. I love the pettiness between them. It's all good, man.
Let's keep it going. Yeah, I love that too. That's great stuff.
Hey, man, Bowman isn't there to make any friends with anybody, and he's made a lot of enemies just because people don't like him, not necessarily because of how he races, just because he annoys them, and that's good. I like it for it.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
We don't want them all to be buddies.
No, God, no, not at all.
All 3 series were in action at Las Vegas this weekend. We'll touch on the other 2 real quick. The NASCAR Xfinity Series raced on Saturday, and Ty Gibbs avoided the dart without feathers of Ryan Sieg to not wreck in Sieg's idiotic attempt at revenge, and manages to win, leading only 6 laps on the day, James. But the 6 laps when it counted. Ty Gibbs gets himself his first victory of the season, locks himself
your
into the
typical Ty
playoffs for the
Gibbs.
first time. So
Yes, yeah, no, he's a legit full-time driver now.
Yep.
So, yeah, that was a interesting little kerfuffle. I'll call that with Sieg. But yeah, Ty Gibbs, he's in a club of only a handful of drivers who have won 7 Xfinity Series races in their or 5. I think 5 Xfinity Series races in their first 20-some starts or something like that.
yeah,
The list is really short. It's Darrell Waltrip, Ryan Newman, Ty Gibbs, and I think there's one other guy on that list, but it's a who's who. So
kid's
pretty
freaking
cool
incredible.
he can drive, man. Regardless of who you think he is, if he's granddaddy's, little buddy there, but it doesn't matter. He's good. Guy can drive.
Yes, he can. Managed to outduel Noah Gragson at the end of the race. Noah Gragson led 52 laps on the day. Looked like probably the guy to beat. All the junior motorsports cars actually looked really strong in this one. Did we get all of them in the top 10?
2, 3.
No, we're missing the one car because the one car Sam Mayer wrecked.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they were all in the top 10. So,
Yep.
Noah Gragson second. Josh Berry finished fourth. Justin Allgaier in fifth. Allgaier led 62 laps on the day, most laps led of anybody. Also, AJ Allmendinger led 32 laps on the day, so a strong day for him as well before finishing in ninth place in this one. So,
John Hunter Nemechek, he double dipped, and I was kind of thinking maybe he'd have a little bit better of a run, but still top 15 in the Sam Hunt machine. That's a pretty good day for John Hunter.
We mentioned the kerfuffle with Ryan Sieg. Ty Gibbs, aggressive move. I mean, he dumped him essentially. But are we surprised? I mean, Ty's been aggressive since his first race, right? I mean, he's not out there to make friends either.
Yeah, no, and that's just kind of this next generation of drivers. They're all cut from this very aggressive cloth, and he's no different. It'll come back to bite him eventually.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it going to bite him?
Yeah, when he roughs up some legit, someday when he gets the cup, because he'll get there. He'll get the cup.
I mean, Sieg took 2 to 3 shots at him on Saturday. Yeah. So,
well, just wait till Ty Gibbs and Noah Gragson introduce themselves to each other. There will come a time, guys aren't going to handle this young buck.
Yep. Well, and the more he wins, the more frustrated they're going to get, especially now there's a championship contender.
Yeah, he's coming for their stuff at the age of 19 years old. So, he's not messing around.
The only thing some of these Xfinity guys like Justin Allgaier and AJ Allmendinger, the nice thing that they've got going for them is that they're not going to have to worry about Ty for very long because he's not going to be in this series for long.
Yeah, couple of years, but he's only 19 years old. And I looked at a picture of him the other day and I said, that kid's 19. And I remember Joey Logano getting into a cup ride at 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, how did that happen? He's just a baby.
I know.
He just looks like a baby.
I know. I forgot how much of a baby he was until he jumped out after the race to celebrate. It's like, oh my God, he's so young.
I know. It makes me feel so old, man. No. He hasn't even, he's lived like, just a little more than half of our lives. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
I know. Sorry.
How old is he? 19?
19.
He hasn't lived half of my life, James.
I forget.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're younger than me. I hit the 4-0 this year, so he's under half of my life.
Yeah.
That's even more depressing, so thanks for that.
I got a few years to go yet. I got a few more.
It comes quick, man. It comes quick.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah.
Daniel Hemrick gets a 3rd place finish. Sheldon Creed was the highest finishing rookie on the day with 7th place finish.
Yep.
Anything else with Xfinity?
Nope.
The Truck Series crashed their way through Las Vegas on Friday night with Chandler Smith out-dueling the boss, Kyle Busch, to get himself a win. Kyle goes winless at Las Vegas for the first trip there this year. We should mention the disqualified Zane Smith. Yeah.
So no relation there, but
right.
Zane Smith was your 2nd place finisher, and that got taken away.
Yeah. What was the disqualification for again?
Oh my God, you put me on the spot.
Yeah, see how I am.
Hold on.
I don't remember.
Oh, I was like, it's being appealed, so I can't. Hold on. What was the part? Was too low. Yes.
Too low?
Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, I think so. Too low. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Oh no, it was lug nut infraction.
Mm.
There we go. Okay, here we go.
How many lugs were off?
Zane Smith's number 38 truck was found to not. It wasn't because lugs were off. Not to conform to NASCAR's rulebook specifications per the following rules: 14.16.1, blah blah blah. 1 through 4 lug nuts. He had unofficially finished the race in second place prior to inspection. Post-race inspection confirmed. Chandler Smith is the winner. Zane Smith's DQ last place finish. Basically, I think they tampered. They tampered with the lug. This is what my understanding of it is.
Okay. Yeah.
So there you go.
Glad we waited to find that information out.
Wow. I mean, it was a heck of a battle on the track between the two of them. So
it was.
That.
I will say that was probably the most
finish.
Gracious I've seen Kyle with a second place finish.
Yeah, because he could have. He had an opportunity. Let's just put it that way.
But I mean, he was his post race interview too. He was actually happy with the fact that his team won. I've seen him lose to his teammates before and be pretty pissed off. He seemed to be pretty comfortable with the result. So good for him. Maybe he's grown up a little bit.
Well, he wants to go and win all of these races when he signs up for the truck series. Now that he's retired from the Xfinity series, so
right,
he wants to add to his total when he can. So this one probably hurts a little bit.
Stuart Friesen ends up with a third place finish. Ryan Preece, fourth place finish. Good run for Ryan. Tanner Gray in fifth place. Matt DiBenedetto in sixth place. Brett Holmes in eighth. Austin Wayne Self in ninth. Ty Majeski with a top 10 finish. A lot of names up here that you don't see a lot in the truck series. Dean Thompson 11th. Tate Fogelman in 12th. Carson Hocevar has kind of been pretty quiet to start the season this year. 13th place finish for him.
He led in this race,
but
he wasn't nowhere to be seen late. And there was some stuff going on, caution related, that kind of jumbled up the field a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. We did have cautions and stuff, and typical truck series.
John Hunter led quite a bit of laps and scored some stage points, but again, he had issues that knocked him down 25th, last on the lead lap. So yeah, it's the trucks, man. They always, always put on a good show. I mean, we had the Onion in the field.
Yeah.
He was out there. Todd Bodine finished 21st in his first race. And God, how many years has it been since Todd raced?
It's been a minute. He's running a few this year too.
Yeah, he wants to get to 800 starts. So he last ran the trucks in 2013. He ran the Xfinity.
It's really
series
been that long.
He hasn't been in a truck in almost 10 years.
Wow, I can't believe it's been 10 years, almost 10 years.
One of the GOAT truck drivers, two-time champ.
Man, I hated him. I did not like rough. Todd Bodine.
Him and Skinner and Skinner and Johnny Benson ran roughshod over the truck series for a little bit there in the early 2010, late 2000s.
I don't know what it was about Todd that I didn't like, but I was not.
Because he's got no neck,
fan.
And he's something else, man.
I don't know. Yeah, this was third victory for Chandler Smith in 40 Camping World Truck Series starts. Let's see. Dean Thompson in 11th was the highest finishing rookie on the day. Chandler Smith is your points leader, 5 points over Tanner Gray.
Chandler Smith is the forgotten he's coming guy.
Yeah.
We talked about him a little bit last year and he went cold, and then remember, Eric, he caught fire towards the end of last season, ended up finishing 8th in the playoff standings, but he won at Bristol, and then he ended up winning Phoenix too.
Yeah.
To salvage a year that kind of got away from him. But now since Bristol, that's 3 wins and just a handful of starts here, going back to last season. So, and he's a young, really super talented. He's in that. I'll put him in that Ty Gibbs class. Super talented coming out of where he was in the ARCA series. So just somebody I think we forgot about because he had such a long lull. But he's a force when he gets going. And if this is the start of something, he could be our championship contender out of the same stable as John Hunter Nemechek. So we'll see.
Yeah, can't sleep on them, that's for sure.
Yep.
All right, James, we don't have a whole lot of news. We do have some sad news, though. We'll start things off with. I hate to bring the show down. I want to make sure I got the name of the Truck Series driver, ARCA Truck Series driver for DGR. Steven Stotts died in an accident with the hauler today, right? It was?
Yep, the hauler driver. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. For the ARCA Series, there were two other passengers in the semi with him, and then another driver in another car involved, and they are all in stable condition. Yeah, bummer. Bob Pockris has the picture if anybody wants to see it. I don't know if you want to, but it's a pretty horrifying scene. Terrible deal for sure.
Yep. Yeah. These truckers, this sport doesn't. We can't do it without these guys hauling tens of thousands of miles a year, and that includes the ARCA series too. I mean, they're a family.
Yeah.
They play as big of a role in us getting to enjoy our racing as anybody, and to lose a guy in a tragic way like this, my heart goes out to their family, to Steven Stotts' family, and everybody else involved too, and David Gilliland Racing.
Yeah.
You just hate to see it. Tragedy unfortunately happens from time to time, and we haven't seen this. I don't recall in quite a while, Eric. I mean, we've seen haulers have issues before, but this one took a tragic turn, unfortunately.
Yeah, considering how many trucks travel with the series, we've been pretty fortunate to not have a lot of major incidents. And I mean, even just we talk about, there's 40 Cup Series teams that travel each week. There's 38 Xfinity Series teams. There's 36 Truck Series teams. You got all the ARCA teams, and then you got all the haulers that put together what goes. I mean, that traveling circus that goes to every track every weekend. There's dozens of trucks that bring the NASCAR equipment and all the stuff that you see at the track, and all the merchandise haulers and all that stuff that travel all over the country all year long. In addition to these guys, and the fact that we've been fortunate enough not to have too many major incidents has been a blessing. But unfortunately,
Absolutely.
stuff like this happens, and it's sad when it does. But you gotta move on and go to the next one. So
Yep.
So that's what we'll do.
Absolutely.
As we are the unofficial podcast of the SRX Racing Series, James. The roster is starting to come together a little bit. We got some more announcements this week. Tony Stewart's going to be back to defend his championship. I'm sure you're happy about that.
I'm pumped about that. Yep, Smoke is back.
He'll be
Matt
running
Kenseth.
a full-time schedule. We got Matt Kenseth. We got the Blaney battle.
Yeah, the Blaneys will be at the season conclusion.
Yes.
Ryan and his dad Dave, and it's a dirt track, so they'll go at it at Sharon Speedway, which is kind of Dave Blaney's home track, I guess. So I don't associate YRB with doing a whole heck of a lot of dirt racing, so it should be pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Matt Kenseth, Haley Deegan, Bobby Labonte, Michael Waltrip, all planning on competing in 2022 in the SRX.
And the Rocket
series.
Man, Ryan Newman.
Yep.
Also.
Yep. So yeah, Greg Biffle we talked about as well last week.
Yes, we did.
It's all coming together, man.
It's gonna be fun, man. I'm gonna get my Paramount Plus subscription started up and ready to roll.
There you go.
I'm in.
With that, that's our news, James. Unless there's something I missed, something that popped up since we started doing this podcast.
Yeah, other than Zane Smith, he's fighting his disqualification, and then I don't know what Bobby Dodder's doing. They had a car get disqualified at Vegas 2 in the Xfinity Series, but nothing to note there. So yeah, we roll on, bud.
And we roll into Phoenix Raceway this weekend for the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. James, we had our picks last week, and I didn't have a good week last week. We had probably the biggest swing that we've had in a significant amount of time. We had a 52-point swing.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and usually I'm on the receiving end of the butt whoopings, so yeah, I'll take this one.
This is the first. I didn't go back and look at how many weeks it's been that you've been trailing, but I'm finally trailing you by 46 points. It's going to take a while to dig out of this one, I think. Especially with only 2 races this weekend instead of 3. But we picked pretty close generally, so it could take a while. Ryan Blaney did me in with only 5 points on the day on Sunday.
Yep.
That was not good. But as a result, I get to pick first for the first time in quite some time.
Since I think the beginning of the playoffs last year, what week it was Michigan again. I've got my butt kicked on Michigan, so it's probably been since Michigan last year. So
well,
you've had a nice run, bud.
Now you can lead until August, and I'll get you back.
That's right. Yes.
So the NASCAR Xfinity Series has the United Rentals 200 this weekend at Phoenix Raceway, and James, I'm going to go with a guy who's got a couple of wins there, runs pretty well there, and I'm going to go with Justin Allgaier once again this season as my pick.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. I am looking at who I've picked so far. I will take Mr. Daniel Hemrick.
Daniel Hemrick.
He's pretty good there.
Yeah, pretty sure he won the last race there and got to bring home some extra hardware as a result.
Yeah.
James, I'm not going to pull any stops with the Cup Series. The Cup Series is the Ruoff Mortgage 500, and I am going to do the same as you did in the Xfinity Series, and I'm going to go with the most recent winner there, and I'm going to go Kyle Larson.
Good deal.
Screw it, man. I didn't do it last week. I'm doing it this week.
Yep. Yep, and I picked Mr. Larson myself, and that helped me. Obviously, he finished second. I'm going to take a guy who probably should have won the last time we were at this track. I'm going to take Martin Truex Jr.
That's a good pick.
He was really good here. he had that championship kind of in his grasp, if we remember the championship race correctly. But again, these Cup cars, Eric, I don't know what to expect. I mean, heck, Kevin Harvick could make a Phoenix comeback for all we know. He's been so good here in the past. Kyle Busch, we could see. We could see
Ross Chastain or Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, Daniel Suarez.
Tyler Reddick.
Suarez
although this doesn't seem like a Tyler Reddick track to me, but
well, Suarez has some experience here too from his days racing in Mexico. So he's got. I mean, they used to come up here and race that series at Phoenix, so he's been here quite a bit.
I feel like he's been strong here, and I think felt like he was strong here last year too.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's he'll be good. He'll be strong. I mean, there seems to be a trend here with Trackhouse Racing. They're going to be a top 10. They're going to be a top 10 team this year for sure.
Yeah. James, how'd the fantasy league go this week?
Eric, it was a little bit better for me this week.
Not for me.
I will take second place finishes if I can get them, but I'll even take thirds after the week I had last week. However, give me just a second here as it's taking its sweet time loading.
I got 8th with 170, which is 170 is respectable for 8th, but not
That's
great.
Pretty good, yeah. Yeah, it was a good week. Justin 713 back on top with Hot Rod Todd coming in second, and I came in third. My second podium of the season. Point standings, Justin 713 is in first, and that's a pretty tight race so far. Obviously, Freight Train second, Fast to the Grass third. Eric, you are sixth, and I am fifth, and we are separated by just 12 points. So, Eric, I should shout him out here. I might be rattling the bee's nest a little bit. The champ is here.
I know. I was going to point him out.
He's in 12th.
I know.
So Ranger, I'm just saying. It's early.
11th place at Vegas. He did finish 6th at Auto Club. And Daytona, he had an 11th place finish. So it's been a rough start to the season for him.
Just remember, he skipped Daytona one year and still won the championship. So
he's just picking conservative to start the season. He'll come at us at
the
end.
All right. He's gonna come on like crazy towards the end.
When all of us have gotten rid of all the top drivers, he's gonna have them all in the bank.
Yes, he will. Yep.
James, you got any shout outs this week?
I don't have any off the top of my head. I was looking around for some, but I don't want to go back to the well either. I feel like I go back to the well far too often. But I didn't see anything that stuck out this week. I will, I guess I will say I saw that Daytona and Penske got Austin Cindric's car to the museum. So nice. I guess I'll use that as my shout out. They keep the tradition alive. So that happened today. I don't know how they worked it out, but
that's cool.
The 500 winning cars at Daytona. If you're down there, go take a look.
Tim Cindric said that they were retiring that car. That's a Penske tradition. If you win the 500 or either the 500s, the Indy 500 or the Daytona 500, they retire the car. So they were going to make it work, and they did.
Yep.
I will give kind of an off the wall shout out here, and I'm going to shout out Eli Tomac, James. He became this weekend
good one.
the winningest Daytona Supercross rider in history. He topped the GOAT, Ricky Carmichael, with his sixth win at the Daytona Supercross with a late race pass on former champ, defending champ, Cooper Webb to get the victory in Daytona. So very cool for him.
Tomac got the win at Daytona, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's been doing it. God, Eric, he's been doing it for longer than I thought.
He is.
Some of these guys.
He has been doing it for a long time, and he is currently. There is only one rider within a race worth of points of him as we head into Detroit this weekend for the Supercross. I will not be going. Nope, not going this year. Not going this year. There's a Saginaw Spirit game the same night, and I'm going to the Spirit game instead. I missed too many this year, so. I know. And last time I skipped a Detroit Supercross, they didn't come to Detroit the next year, so I probably will regret it. But the nice thing is they generally go to Indy, and Indy is a better Supercross than Detroit anyway. Don't tell anybody that I said that, but Indy is a better place to go than Detroit. Indy. It's a lot better surrounding area to the stadium than Detroit is. Detroit's kind of Ford Field kind of sucks.
I've been to Indianapolis. I've been to Indianapolis once, and I loved the downtown. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't there long enough to really get to enjoy it, but I will love to go back sometime for sure.
The biggest thing for Supercross is that they have an open pit because they'll pit in the parking lot outside the arena, and they can't do that in Detroit because there's not enough room there. So you don't get the open pit. You can't go in the pit area, whereas Indy has a nice big parking lot and you can do that. So
yeah, there you go.
Anyway, yeah, no Supercross for me this weekend, but.
Have I ever brought this up to you? Everybody throws around the word GOAT all the time now for, Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Yeah.
The furthest back I can remember there being the GOAT, it is Ricky Carmichael.
Yeah.
Is he the original GOAT?
He might be.
Do you remember a GOAT before Ricky Carmichael?
I don't think so. He might be the original.
I think Ricky Carmichael is the originator of the GOAT. And I would like a 30 for 30 documentary on this. Maybe that's our next venture, Eric. We have to explore this. What do you think?
Earl Manigault.
Earl Manigault
was an American street basketball player who was nicknamed the GOAT.
What year?
He was alive from September 7th, 1944 through May 15th, 1998.
Oh, Jesus. That way outdates Ricky Carmichael.
So the original GOAT, James. Oh man, wow, what a slap in the face on this one. You missed the original GOAT. You're gonna go, oh yeah, on this one. The original GOAT. GOAT is a word used in reference to greatest of all time. Had its origin in an expected place. Muhammad Ali. Lani Ali, Muhammad Ali's wife, incorporated GOAT. So officially, he is the original GOAT.
I'm so glad I brought that up. I did not know that. I mean, he really is one of the original GOATs, but I didn't know that either. I don't remember Howard Cosell, talking into a microphone and calling him the GOAT.
The GOAT Inc. was used as an umbrella for all of the former boxers' intellectual properties being used for commercial purposes. Well, so I don't know that anybody necessarily specifically called him the GOAT, but she. I
mean, when I was a kid, there was Jeremy McGrath, and then there was the GOAT.
Yep.
And the GOAT came along and took all McGrath's stuff.
Yeah, except for the wins. And McGrath still got the most wins.
Well, yes, that's true. But there was, and then for a brief period, there was a guy named Travis Pastrana that was involved in that little. He was a bottle rocket, and he's still a bottle rocket.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I had to ask you about that because I could never. I've always wondered, like maybe he's the first modern day GOAT. I don't know.
Props to Ricky Carmichael too, who seemed legitimately excited by the fact that somebody beat his record. Some guys don't want to see their records go. Ricky's always been pretty excited about seeing people break his records, so that's pretty cool. Big supporter of the sport. It's a bummer that NASCAR didn't work out for him, but he continues to, despite the fact he's not very good at it, continues to be in the broadcast booth for the Supercross series every year.
I mean, he designs all the tracks, doesn't he?
He designs the Daytona
much.
track. The Daytona track is his
Okay.
track every year. He did do one of the seasons. I think he did a lot of the tracks. And then they did a Legends thing where all the different legends got to design a track that year or whatever. But yeah, the Daytona Supercross he's designed for many years. So even back when he was racing, I believe he was designing it already. So
What's Jeremy McGrath up to these days? Is he doing like super trucks and stuff?
he does he was doing off-road truck racing. He does Science of Supercross for the Supercross broadcast. So he's still on the broadcast every week. He does a little behind the scenes segment in between the main events.
All those guys seemed like superheroes to me when I was a kid. Those guys were all lumped in with Tony Hawk, Dave Mira.
Yeah.
For me, it was like Tucker Hibbert and Blair Morgan too from the snowcross stuff.
Right.
Like all those guys were like superheroes because they could rip these machines and skateboards and stuff around like nobody's business. And now, the stuff they were doing then is so mediocre compared to what guys can do now.
My family owns a motorcycle shop, and I worked there for 10 years and grew up there essentially. And so, we were involved in all this stuff at the time. And so when I started watching Supercross, it was Jeff Stanton and Damon Bradshaw. Those were the big names in the sport. Jeff Matasevich. And then I stopped watching for a few years. And when I came back, it was Jeremy McGrath. He was in like his second championship run. So Jeremy's the one that I really grew up with watching, but we got to be really involved in the Supercross stuff when Ricky Carmichael started his own team, RCH Racing, and was sponsored by Soaring Eagle Casino. My family's bike shop was the closest one to the casino for Suzuki. Mm-hmm. So Suzuki would work with us, with our shop, to, if they needed a display bike or something out, they'd send that to their shop, have them put it together, and then we'd take it out to Soaring Eagle for Ricky to, be out on or whatever. So they did the big Edge of Summer Supercross for a couple of years out there. That was my first credentialed photo assignment for pro motocross was out there. That's pretty cool. So it's been fun.
Stuff,
I got to watch Supercross in Detroit one year in the suite with Carey Hart, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, but
stuff.
awkward as hell too, because you're in there with Carey Hart. He's just a normal person. You want to talk to him, but you feel awkward talking to him. It's so weird.
Who's Carey Hart's? Oh my God,
Pink.
Yes, thank you.
She's married to Pink.
Was Pink there?
No, she was not there.
Pink wasn't there.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure Pink doesn't go to the motocross.
No,
events.
but my dad did go out to Anaheim 1 the year that Ken Roxon rode for RCH the first time, and Roxon won. And Pink was out there too, and he got to drive Carey Hart in Pink's truck to go run and do a Jimmy John's run for him. So.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah.
I kept wanting to say Gwen Stefani, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that's not right.
No,
That can't be right. Yeah.
Wow, we have
Thank
taken
you.
a turn here, James.
I never thought would be on the podcast.
Right?
There
Just
you go.
because of the Supercross shout out.
Gwen Stefani and Pink. Wow.
Yeah. So
Tangent.
how about a Jackass? You got a Jackass this week, James?
Well, we started with my Jackass at the top of the podcast. I wanted to but
Who's that, Kyle?
I just thought, yeah, because when he said they're from Walmart, and I just thought, man, he worked so hard on that car. So that was my JA for the week.
I got to go with Ryan Sieg, man. I don't know.
Yeah, he's right there too, isn't he?
If you ask Danica Patrick, if you're going to wreck somebody, wreck them. Don't wreck yourself. Pretty stupid.
She knows.
Yeah. So that's it.
Yep.
James, where can people find you on social media if they want to chat with you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook, facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discussed, past race coverage, all of that stuff on there. Again, thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Facebook. Wherever you found us today, we hope you subscribe and continue to listen. We appreciate everybody who has joined us and subscribed and listens every week. It's pretty awesome. Definitely appreciate all you guys. Can't express that enough. If we could thank you all personally, we would. It would probably take us about 5 minutes, but just kidding. Actually, no, the numbers are good. I'm happy with what we're getting. It's taken a while to grow, but it's been fun. So if you guys want to shout us out or hit us up ask us a question, whatever. Feel free to. Maybe you'll see it at the track this year. Hopefully James and I will be at Michigan this year at least.
Yeah, that's my plan at least.
I was going to try to get to St. Louis, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. I think this year is going to be, with COVID dying off and actually being able to go out, I think it's going to be a family travel year for me this year. I'm going to put a pause on the NASCAR stuff, do some stuff with the family because none of us have been out in 2 years. And then next year, dig back into the NASCAR thing and maybe hit a few. Or maybe just do the one and keep doing the podcast and we'll see.
Yeah, see what you can do, when you get opportunities. But yeah,
maybe if NASCAR would have some more Midwestern races, I wouldn't have to travel 6 to 8 hours to go to a race.
That's a past episode somewhere down the line.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, Phoenix Raceway this weekend. We'll be back next weekend to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.